right. So, as we were saying from the last lesson, you all were talking about functions and things that you could do to help students stay on task, which you did a great job of in your observation that I observed on 22nd. You did a lesson on make sure I have this right. Standard A1F, BF, A1. And your objective was, your learning goals was to make sure that students were able to examine sequence and are able to get introduced to the notation used to describe them. Right. Correct? And I loved how you had you had different learning styles going. You were using the whiteboard, and the students actually were following you as you went along in the lesson. And they got the calculators and were able to do what you told them to do. So I gave you your strength area to me was a core action 2, which is from the instructional practice guide, and that is you employed instructional practices that allow all students to learn the content of the lesson. And students were also able to communicate the lesson. They were able to articulate exactly what the learning goal was, and they were engaged. And I love how you would call on students. A young lady, what was her name? Can't remember her name, but anyway, she was so excited, and she was like, "I know the answer to that, Mr. Walker." And you did use cold calls and no opt-out strategy, so I love that. And also, students were given time to work through problems, and you allowed them to draw their own conclusions, which helped with the misconceptions that they may have had. And it doesn't seem like anyone in their class had any misconceptions about the learning goal. Okay, so what I saw what a growth area was under core action 2, which states the teacher deliberately checks for understanding throughout the lesson to surface misconception and opportunities for growth, and adapts the lesson according to student understanding. Well, I think that was a 2 only because, as you stated yourself in your self-scores, you wish you would have let the students lead more in the learning environment and walked around more during the first part of the lesson, but you did do it toward the end of the lesson and check more for understanding. But I don't really feel there was a weakness. I feel that you didn't check for understanding because from what I observed, all the students seem to have the correct concept of the lesson, and that is because they verbally showed their understanding of the lesson, and in their calculators and in the group discussion, it just showed that everybody had an understanding of the lesson. And it's a growth opportunity, and all in all, you did address the standard that you were using for Algebra 1, and I think you did great on those 2 things. So great strength, and that's just the area of growth, which we all have the areas for growth. So is there anything that you would like to add to that?
Well, today is my day to check for understanding. My students will take an exit ticket today. The exit ticket will be based on that lesson and the previous lesson. And then I'll be able to look at those scores, review them, and implement anything I need to or reteach any part of the lesson that I don't feel like they understand. As far as student engagement, students were well engaged, but I do want them to be able to lead a little bit more. So we're going to either play a Kahoot or do some type of group activity where the students will either create the questions or be given questions and compete against each other, either on accuracy or how quick they can answer questions with one another.
I like that. Now let me ask you this: on for name it, how would that look to you? Okay, so we already talked about pass. We talked about the pass success, and you were able to do that in this observation. So what specifically would you do to be able to have the student name what they're doing? And I think you did that. So
well, I like naming my lesson, whatever we're working with. So that day we were working with geometric sequences. But then I want my students to be able to define what a geometric sequence is. So can you tell me what a geometric sequence looks like? And that's why we're going to do the one where they create their own. So now on paper, you can show me what this looks like to you. And then I don't really like writing definitions anymore. We try to get away from that. But we may do a few definitions and then maybe like a vocab quiz on Kahoot or Quizlet, something like that.
That's good. And then one thing on the gap of, like you said, checking for understanding, one way you can do that, which I've seen you do, after you show them what you were showing them on the whiteboard, okay, now show me on paper, give them a problem to do, and then actually have them do that, which I think you did.
Right.
So, go ahead.
So yesterday we did parent share. And
Parent
share allows you to work with a partner. You turn your desk and you get 10 minutes of you working on your own. And then the next 10 minutes you can share with your partner, where either you're discussing the answers you have, you're comparing your answers to your partners, and if you have something different, then okay, why did you get this? And is my answer correct, or is your answer correct? Or did we both do something wrong?
Right.
And we can work together to get a correct answer.
And you just brought me to the next step I was going to talk about, which, okay, so that brought me to what I was going to talk about next, which was actually part of closing the gap, is punching it. And you're going to do modeling, which you did do, and modeling is just exactly what you did. I saw your hand moving across the whiteboard, and you were actually answering the problem to show the student how to answer the problem. And then you had them do it. Now you all see how I answer the problem, and that's when they got their calculators, and they actually did exactly what you did. So it's kind of like a shadowing.
Like that, I do, we do, you do.
Yes, I do, we do, you do. Exactly. So I might have said that wrong, but that's exactly the concept that we were looking for. And you already mentioned how you will follow up on that lesson, and that is you're going to have the exit ticket.
Right.
So the students are going to do the exit ticket, and then you're going to check those and to see who really got the lesson or not. So for those students who did not get it, what do we plan to do for those?
So even for the ones that did get it, my reinforcement strategy was a Delta Math assignment.
I love that.
It has 5 parts, and this one is really short. So it's 5 parts. It's 2 questions in each part, and it's broken down to where one is an arithmetic sequence where they have to find the next term. One is geometric, find the next term. The next one is either geometric or arithmetic, and they have to decide which one it is and find the terms. And then there's one where they have to select the formula. They're given the terms, and then there's one where they have to write the formula. So they have each part of what we've been doing, and it's broken down. And then we're going to go into word problems after that.
I love it. So that way they're able to, even with the word problem, they'll be able to articulate exactly what they're doing, and they'll be able to not only name it but show it on paper. So I think those are great strategies.
And for the Delta Math, they do it on paper. If they didn't score well on their exit ticket, they can turn the paperwork in, and they receive extra credit on their exit ticket.
Extra credit. You even give them an opportunity to boost their grade.
Right.
Okay, so out of that, is there anything that you need from me moving forward? Any support?
I'd like to have another observation.
Okay.
Maybe next month or so, just
follow up.
Yeah, just a follow up. I like the feedback I receive, and I always want to improve as a teacher.
That's awesome. Well, I think you're a great teacher. I'm trying to get you into leadership. So I'm put that on record. Yes. So I appreciate what you're doing for the students, and if you need anything else, just let me know. Thank you.